All right, here we are. We are back for another week of college football talk. Welcome to Triple Option. I am your host, Mr. 411, in the studio today on this glorious Sunday morning, October the 6th, 2024. It's none other than Brooks the Showcase and Kobe Cole for the low. What's going on, Brooks?
Man, chilling, feeling good. That was a wild day of college football yesterday.
Indeed. Kobe Cole, how are you doing, man?
Good, fellas. Good, fellas. Like Mr. Brooks said, wild day of college football.
Yeah, I mean, crazy too. And of course, we're gonna get into that the game of the day. We'll talk about that, and then maybe we'll rehash a little bit from last week too. Give Brooks a chance to vent a little bit about his squad from last week, and then we'll dive into any other matchups you guys want to. Make sure you check out Code for the Low on all social media platforms. That's Co from the Low LOH. Make sure you check him out on all social media platforms. All right, gentlemen. Let's start off with the upset of the day. The Alabama Christian Tide 35, Vanderbilt Commodores of all teams 40. And then Vanderbilt, and then they lose to Georgia State early this year, gentlemen.
They did.
Yes, they did. Second, I want to say that's their second game of the season, third game of the season they lost.
Yeah. But they are an SEC team. So we definitely know that because they're in the conference. But man, who would have thought this? So well, who wants to go first on this one? Do we want the Georgia
Uh,
fan to go first or the Bama fan to go first?
I'll take it first. First off, Mr. Brooks, and man, we missed you last week, man. We missed you.
I couldn't face it. Couldn't face it.
but but
I needed time. I needed some time.
I don't blame you. But I knew Bama was gonna lose one eventually. I knew he was gonna lose one. But Vanderbilt, like Vanderbilt, first off,
Yeah,
we gotta get
yeah,
out of Plan Man. We gotta switch the defense up. Plan Man, just like we seen it in Georgia, when they go against some of these elite teams, non-elite teams, we can't just keep being one-sided. We gotta keep being on the man. Vanderbilt basically can't kept running the same play on offense. And no shame to them. If you're not broke, don't fix it. But if you keep seeing them run the same play, start running the same play against they same play, and it's not working for us. Get out of the man, run some zones, send some blitzes. Like freaking Vanderbilt. How do you lose to Vanderbilt in the SEC and you just knocked out the number two team in Georgia? Like I don't understand that. But we have to switch it up. If you
yeah.
don't switch it up, then you're gonna lose games like that. Um, Overall, it was a hard fought game by Bama. They tried to get back in there, but at the end of the day, our defense couldn't upstand to Vanderbilt offense, which that should even be a statement coming out of my mouth. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and it's here. I'm so frustrated about that game. But I think we're gonna bounce back and we're gonna win the rest of our seasons. We got a little more easier schedule than compared to like Georgia, Texas, and other SEC teams. But after my overall thoughts about the game, Nick Saban wouldn't let that happen. He would have changed it up. I just got to say that too.
Yeah, my favorite stat that came out of this game is how many points do you think was given up to Vandy during the Saban era? Any guesses?
Say, say,
Yes.
say the question again.
Maybe 10. How about 10? That'd be my
How
guess.
many points did Alabama give up to Vandy through the whole Saban era?
Oh, 30.
Maybe
30.
13.
13. Y'all about to say, I think it's
Oh,
like
Guess
13.
guess how
wow.
many points Vandy scored in the first quarter? 13. That was
That's
my favorite
crazy.
stat of the night. Yeah, that's great. I mean, the offense wasn't the problem. I mean, I near the end, they get a stop, get the ball back. They had a chance to go down for the game winning touchdown, but they could not stop Andy. Um, I thought Vandy had good play designs. Really moved their quarterback around in the pocket. Uh, you know, moved him around, didn't just drop him back. He's really, I mean, he's a pretty, he's not the worst quarterback I've ever seen. So I think a lot of goes to him. He was 16 to 20. But you just look at, I mean, to me, you just look at just the total yards, and it doesn't seem that's not, that's just not Alabama. What Alabama does, they just don't get thrashed like this on the offense. On defense. 418 total yards. Um, and really, I mean, they just it came down to the end of the game, and they just could not get a stop. And I mean that was indicative of the whole game. They just Vandy came in with a with a good offensive plan, and it's just surprising to see the Alabama defense look the way they did. Um, so I mean, yeah, just crazy.
I will say this just because Georgia State made a post. And I go to Georgia State. Just because Georgia State beat Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt beat Alabama, don't get Georgia State people don't get y'all head minds fixed on we can beat Alabama. We would get dog walked. we would get sent back to Atlanta if we ever go over there to Tuscaloosa.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. I don't. It's funny to think about, but I mean, I was thinking the
Yeah,
same thing. I was like, you know, if Bama beat us, then got 28, went up 28 to nothing. I was early in the game. I was like, what will Vandy do to Georgia?
yeah. I mean, you just never know. Uh, in time of possession, man, that was key. Vanderbilt was able to uh, control that part of the game. And anytime you're trying to have a major upset, and that's what this is, a David versus Goliath type matchup, you have to have ball control. You know what I'm saying? You got to at least have the ball at least probably 2/3 of the game at the very least to kind of just stay in it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right, Alabama. I mean, 35 points. I mean, what more do they need to do offensively versus Vanderbilt? I mean, going back to that stat, 35 should have been enough to cover this game. But wow, look at it, man. Big upset, man. And like I said, this isn't the only game that was out of whack, if you will, for this week. How about Missouri, gentlemen? They have been in the conversation as far as rankings and things like that. We talked about them over the past couple weeks, but they got blasted by Texas A&M of all teams.
Yeah.
And let's see, there it is. 40 to 10. What about that, Brooks?
Yeah, that was a surprising outcome to me, but I think we were just giving Missouri a little bit too much credit this season. They haven't really played well. They needed come from behind victory at Boston College. They struggled to put away Vandy last week. This is a team that just hasn't. They've had they've won. They were undefeated so far, but it hasn't looked pretty. So you kind of maybe we should have saw this coming. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Texas A&M. Uh, a little bit of, I guess they were talking about maybe that Missouri was preparing for their backup quarterback who's a little bit more mobile, and not the straight pocket passer that Wyman is. So maybe that has something to do with it. But at the end of the day, I mean, they just got blasted. I mean, Texas A&M absolutely did anything they want on the offensive end. Yeah, I was surprised. Just I going back to last season, coming into this season, I mean, I was really high on Missouri. But yeah, uh, Texas A&M. You got to remember, they had Jimbo Fisher, who I don't believe in, but they've recruited well over the past few seasons. They got talent on that team.
Hmm.
They've been in top 10 recruiting classes year after year, so there's talent there. Just have been able to put it together. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surprising, but I thought maybe we should have seen it come. Missouri hasn't been playing well this season.
Yep. All right, Cole, what you got, man?
I say it again. I didn't hear you.
I'll say what you have about it, man. Missouri going down in a big way to Texas A&M.
Oh, are we shocked? I mean, I said that last week. I said Missouri's a fraud. I mean, we get the same thing every year at Missouri. They look good. They play some good games. They look good against some good teams. Then when it's time to go against another team or a Georgia, Alabama, they always upset us. We knew what would be getting out of Missouri. That's not really for me. It's not an upset. We knew what was coming out of Missouri. Sooner or later, somebody was going to tell them y'all don't belong here, and it was Texas A&M.
All right. All right. Let's see what else is going on across the landscape. Um, okay. Wow. Look at this one. Tennessee falling to Arkansas. This had to be a shocker, gentlemen, because we had
Now that's a
Tennessee in our
shocker.
conversation in the top. What we had them in the top five, top six conversation, maybe as high as four last week,
Hmm.
Now that's a
and so
shocker.
they fall. Yeah, they fall 14-19, and I can understand the 19 from Arkansas, but 14 from Tennessee, gentlemen. How far? What kind of blow is this for the Tennessee program?
It's not the biggest blow ranking wise because Miami did complete the comeback and they got their win, so it helps them. It helps them out with other teams fall like Georgia. Georgia failed last week. Bama failed this week. One more team took a big hit, so it's not gonna be the biggest blow ranking wise. Confidence wise, you have no business losing to Arkansas, but at the same time, Arkansas is not a bad team. They're not. I would not say like the top team in the SEC, but overall, they're not a bad team, and they can compete with other teams. It's just like it's a shocker because the bad teams are not bad teams no more. Each team can have an upset and win, especially with the difficulty of schedules now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot about this week has been, for me, is just thinking about the grind of the SEC schedule, what it does to teams. I mean, similar, like, what do you think? I was thinking, going back to this Bama game for a minute. I mean, playing Georgia, one of the most physical teams. Alabama's a physical team. That takes a toll on you from week to week. So it's just the grind of an SEC schedule, and I think that we're coming to realize so you can't take a road game at Arkansas or even a road game at Vandy for granted. Um, but yeah, I mean Tennessee. Uh, this game, this game could have been easily winnable for Tennessee. I feel like Arkansas didn't take the lead till late in the game, so they really could have put this game away. Uh, that hit on the Arkansas quarterback was tough to watch. That took him out of the game. I was surprised he even came back for a series, just the way it looked. So backup. I mean, even the crazy thing about this game is it was the backup who won. The backup came in and put together a
Yeah.
game-winning drive on Tennessee. Um, and he didn't look really comfortable in the pocket either. He looked like they really had to get some ingenuity to they kind of moved him around. He used his legs, used the running game, a little read option. So credit to the Arkansas offensive coordinator for kind of you know last kind of quarter of the game having to like just change his whole offensive philosophy and give run plays that make that the backup quarterback comfortable. So that's credit to the Arkansas coaching staff for that because they really had to go away from what they were doing when Singleton came in the game at quarterback. So
All right, gentlemen. Man, I mean, things keep rolling, man. Let's jump into another game here. Uh, wow, look at this one. USC and Minnesota. So USC falls again, but this time to Minnesota, 24-17. Um, and the Gophers almost took out Michigan. So were you guys surprised about this?
nah, I'm not surprised that Lincoln Riley's a little bit overrated as a coach. He has those flashy offenses, but he I saw like the past. I think his name was Clay Helton was the one of the prior USC coaches, and I saw a tweet about their first however many games, and they basically had the same record for a guy who's revered as not well liked at USC. Um, but yeah, I mean Lincoln Riley a little bit overrated. Doesn't have the big wins on his resume. Um, had that chance in the Rose Bowl with Oklahoma and Georgia beat them. So he just doesn't have that defining win. And it's the flashy offense. His teams always seem to be a little soft on defense. No, so I'm not surprised by this at all.
How about you, Cole?
I'm not surprised. I kind of figured they will lose one eventually, just by the level of talent they was playing and by how they was playing. I'm not gonna say Lincoln Riley is not an overrated head coach, but he is a very beatable coach compared to the others. USC was bound to lose one eventually to upset margin as Minnesota. So, and I don't think this will be their only loss. They're going. I think they take about 2 to 3 more losses. Also,
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. I guess we need to. I mean, I don't know if you all can hear me. Kind of moving around a little bit.
Gotcha.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, we got you.
yeah, I got
Okay.
you.
All right. Okay, good. Yeah, man. So those are like wow, some upsets there. Any other games that you all had your eye on that you want to mention?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I watched the Georgia Auburn game. Little sluggish start on offense, but that gave up kind of
When do
a
y'all not have a sluggish start, Mister Brooks? Let's be real. When do y'all not have a sluggish start?
touche. Um, but yeah, a little sluggish start on offense. Defense gave up a touchdown because of bad tackling, a big run. Um, but in the end, they kind of took control in the second half, clamped down on defense. I was It was good to see Nate Frazier get some touches in the second half. I'm not sure what happened there. Seemed like there may be like an unofficial suspension there because he just was disappeared for like a game and a half, and then immediately got the first carry in the second half. So that was interesting. But good to see him get some carries. Carson Beck again steady. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it was a just an all around kind of solid bounce back from the Bama game. Then you put it into perspective of these other top teams in the SEC losing. Uh, and again, I'll harp on this. I mean, one of the this Clemson win is looking better by the day. Clemson kind of start
Hmm.
winning by double digits ever outside that first loss from Georgia. They've won every game by double digits. So that's starting to look more and more like a really good quality win. Another takeaway I have is that Texas has the road to the SEC title right now. They got one tough. They got to play Georgia, obviously, but they get them at home. And you look at the rest of their schedule; it's really manageable. So if you're looking at a team that could possibly go undefeated in the SEC, that's the last chance. And again, they got that tough Georgia game, but outside of that, I think their schedule's really manageable, and they got a shot to go undefeated if they beat Georgia for real. So, um,
Yeah. I tell you, man, Georgia 31-13 with a bounce back victory over Auburn. I think it was an expected victory and a great way to bounce back. And hey, it didn't hurt to have, the tide go down, uh, immediately to kind of get you guys back in the mix there, Brooks. And we'll see how that all shakes out when the new top 25 comes out and specifically more in that top 10 range. We'll see what we think about that. We'll talk about that in a few when Cole gets back. And you did mention Texas, and then here are some other games here on the slate. Um, All right, and then as you can see, there are some games on the slate. Of course, Vanderbilt with the win. Syracuse with a 44-41 victory over UNLV. Oregon 21-10 over Michigan State. Did you get a chance to catch any of those Friday games?
uh, I caught a little bit of it. I forgot what TV I was watching. Uh, yeah, I can't really. I caught one of the games, kind of in and out, but
Yeah,
I watched a little bit of the Miami Cal game. That was a pretty entertaining game. I kind of fell asleep towards the end of the game, but I woke up and
yeah,
Miami had completed the comeback, and I was like, "What?" Uh,
yeah,
just the
yeah,
way Cal
yeah.
was moving the ball, I was like, "Man, I don't think they're coming back," but they did. So that was that was quite a surprise. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, no
so
doubt, man. Yeah, no doubt about that. What do you think about Miami, man? Do you think that they're legit? Do you think there's just the jury's still out on them? You know what I mean? How you feeling about
yeah,
that?
I mean, good resilience to come back from that many down. You you give up what did they give up 300, yeah, 370 yards to Cal. Cal
Yeah,
was moving the ball. I don't know that defense may be a problem. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Cam Rising, he seemed a little bit off for a lot of this game. Just watching some of his throws, he was just blatantly, just missing throws. But I mean, he obviously bounced back from that in the second half and completed the comeback. So jury's out, but it's a manageable ACC. I mean, come on, it's a man without outside looking at a team like Clemson who's kind of coming on. You know, they're still poised. They're still poised to make a run in the ACC. You talk about making a run in the college football playoff. That's a different story. Again, that defense, the defense hasn't been impressive.
yeah, yeah. I do. I feel like they're the best of what's there. The Clemson situation now that if they, I'm not sure if they're on the same side or not, or what have you, but
Well,
that could be a stumbling block.
yeah, they took away the divisions. So
Yeah. So at some point they can meet each other. And maybe they meet each other in the ACC championship game. Clemson may have something to say then because, as you stated, man, they continue to Clemson. They continue to win. They're like under the radar. Because especially since they're not the Clemson of old, where you looked at them more as a powerhouse, and then how they got beat down their first game of the year, and but they've been winning, and I think that that's the way that Dabo would like that right now for them to stay in that below the radar, continue to get victories. And hey, they can always say, well, our loss was against, number one team in the country at that time, the Georgia Bulldogs. So they
yeah,
could have something to say later on in the ACC. For me, Miami, I think they're a good team, and I think they brought in a, NFL caliber quarterback,
mhm.
which now has allowed them to beat a lot of teams that they normally get beat by. And so I'm just going to kind of hold my expectations on them as until they start getting into maybe some stiffer competition and kind of see how they come from there. But you're right, that big comeback at the end of the day, they won. But man, to be in a shootout against Cal, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna have to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
interesting. A lot of teams are dropping their first game lately. It's not many undefeated teams left, so it's gonna be interesting. I don't. Interesting to see how the committee, deals with these losses. A loss to
right,
Clemson, a loss to Georgia, not the same as a loss to
right,
Arkansas, a loss to Vanderbilt.
yeah,
Interesting to see how they think the seeding will go. Because not only getting your first loss, which again doesn't eliminate you from the 12-team playoff now, but just who it was against. That'd be
right,
interesting. Because I still don't expect Vandy just to go on some miracle run and win out to make it look like a better win. I think I think they're going to lose
right.
their fair share of games. Arkansas again, both teams that have 2 losses already. Probably poised to get more. So it'd be interesting because all these losses aren't created equal. So it'll be interesting to see how the committee deals with a loss like that. Loss to Arkansas, loss to Vanderbilt.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's see what else we could dive into here. Let me see. Any other matchups there? Look, Indiana, they continue to win, man. Uh, like this team, man, is on the rise. Their head coach has been. A lot of people are saying that he's the next Nick Saban, and he's kind of
Oh,
doing it in a Nick Saban way. You know what I mean? Smaller program win there. Now moves into a like the Big Ten conference. I think Saban was at Michigan State, and now this coach here is at Indiana, and he's
hmm.
taking them to new heights. And of course, I think at some point he's going to end up landing, let's just say, an SEC job and look to do something similar. So uh, I would say keep an eye on Indiana. You know what I'm saying? Just keep an eye on them as far as the eventual maybe getting in, slipping in at 12 or so in the playoff, maybe if they continue to win at this rate.
Yeah, I mean the Big Ten's got a big matchup next week: Ohio State, Oregon. That'll
Yeah,
kind of decide who the kind of favorite is in that conference. So yeah, good win. Indiana. I mean, a lot of people thinking Northwestern would keep that game closer. and they really didn't. Shout out to the service academies.
There you go.
Army undefeated.
Yep.
You had a Navy Air Force matchup. Navy won. Navy stays undefeated. I kind of like when the service academies are relevant. Be interesting to see if one of those service academies could slip into the playoff as one of the highest ranked team of the out other conferences. So yeah, shout out to the service academies. Got two undefeated service academies right now.
To the name of this show, right? They run they most of them run the triple option. And
Yeah,
so, that style of play, it can definitely work when because a lot of teams are not used to going up against that style of offense anymore. Everything's been more of that quick Madden football style, shotgun, handoff from shotgun, quick, no huddle type offense. And then here you go with these service academies, just trying to ram it down your throat and eat up clock, that type of thing. So yeah, it's good, man. And then the passion behind those teams uh, is always there. So yeah, and then also, you know what, Brooks, is also something beautiful there too, where in the NIL era that we're in, and like UNLV, about that situation with a couple, the quarterback, leaves because he didn't get the money he was promised. That as far as how that story goes, to have these service academy teams where the players are pretty much there 4 years,
yeah,
and they're there for the reason why they're there, and to
yeah.
see them flourish is good.
Yeah, they don't play football to potentially get into the NFL. Although, it does happen, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they're just serving, so it was interesting because I was out on a work trip with two of my coworkers. One was from Navy, one had graduated from the Naval Academy, one from the Air Force Academy. So that was interesting. Had they because they had a football game coming up, so
My bad, Bruce. You probably couldn't hear me. How about
I
so?
got you.
How were your friends, man? How did your friends react to the great starts there by Army and Navy?
Both are excited, So yeah, like I said, a lot of, a lot of, a lot of friendly banter back and forth during the trip as they, prepare for that game. So yeah, I'm like you. It's with the nil era and having all these negative stories. Barry Alexander, who transferred from Georgia to USC, pulled his name. Released himself from the team. The UNLV quarterback. So it's good to see. Good to see the service academies doing well. In kind of contrast to this nil era. So I'm with you. It's definitely nice to see.
Yeah, it's refreshing, man. And I guess we need to go ahead and just jump right into the Heisman talk. Uh, we can do that real quick. Cam Ward, you mentioned him earlier. They had the big comeback victory, and so they remain undefeated. And winning is definitely a factor when you look at Heisman candidates. But not only is Cam Ward, I think, one of the top candidates, but Ashton is also one too in Boise State, and he's continuing to put up monster numbers. The big game against Oregon, where he just gashed them, So, um, do you have any other candidates that you would put on the board for your Heisman?
It's interesting because we talked about this in one of our shows. This was a
Yeah,
good week for Travis Hunter. You know,
yeah,
seeing Bama go down. Milrow, one of the favorites. Seeing them lose to Vanderbilt. I think I think if voting was just right now, I think probably Travis Hunter gets it. You know, it'd be neck and neck with him and Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward kind of saving his Heisman candidacy with that comeback win. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a good week for Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter for Heisman people. Had some losses. Maybe the Tennessee quarterback sneaking in there. They had a bad loss. Um, You think about somebody like Luther Burden at Missouri, they lost. So yeah, I mean, I'll also throw I'll throw this out there. He's probably not going to win, but that wide receiver for Alabama is ridiculous. Ryan Williams.
Oh
Oh my
yeah,
God, he's so good. I mean, he's not. I
yeah,
don't think he's going to win. I mean, if anybody, Milrow
yeah,
on that team would win. But man, that guy's crazy good. He made some,
yeah.
including kind of the game-winning touchdown against Georgia, which was just ridiculous. Like the body
Yeah, that was
control
sick.
and like, yeah, um, yeah. I mean, I think Travis Hunter took a step up in the rankings because of the losses. You got that. You got that guy. You got that running back from Boise State. What's his name?
Hmm.
Ashon Genty.
Yeah,
He's definitely still in the mix too. So I think you got to give it. I think Cam Ward probably gets it right now because Miami's staying undefeated. Um, but yeah, I think Travis Hunter's still in the mix, especially with the
yeah.
losses. So interesting week as far as the Heisman race goes.
Absolutely, man. This seems like it's going to be one of those seasons where it really is going to come down to the end to figure this one out. As far as the Heisman, it's kind of open door for a lot of players, contenders this year. Um, just looking at it, you know what I'm saying? Because some of these teams, you can question their schedule. You know what I mean? You can say, okay, Colorado, what type of schedule do they have? Miami's schedule. So they all kind of got that same kind of issue, if you will. So that doesn't kind of separate one from another. And then, like you said, with Milton, with the upset loss here to Vanderbilt, just after having that huge win, like that was that. If you were a Heisman candidate and you defeat the University of Georgia, that would kind of be the feather in the cap that trumps everybody. I would think. You know what I'm saying? Because like with Cam Ward, you can say, okay, great season, but who have you beaten? You know, Milton can actually say, hey, I beat Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So now, but the loss to Vanderbilt kind of washes that away. So man, it's going to be a wide open race, and we'll just see who's left standing in the end when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Let's get to the. Oh, go ahead, Bruce. Get your thoughts in, and then we'll jump into
No, I
the
understand.
top
Milton,
10.
Milton's still got. Uh, Milton definitely still has a chance. They still got they still got some high profile games. Tennessee, Missouri,
Yep,
LSU. So they
yep,
play Oklahoma as well. So he's still got some high profile games. So he's still he's still definitely up there.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you lose to Vandy, but again, yeah, you still got the win you still got the win over Georgia. That I mean, that's still again probably the most impressive win of the season for sure on anybody's
yeah.
resume. So yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of time. I would say in the week it goes ebbs and flows week by week, and I just looked at it today and I was like, this is a good week for Travis Hunter for people. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it is. I mean, another win, defeated Central Florida. That was top 20. I think they was ranked 23rd at the time last week when they played. And then there's a bye week, so there was no loss there
yeah,
for
exactly.
potential loss. Why? So everybody else
Yeah,
kind of moved, backwards. You stay where you are, and now you're
yeah.
closer to the front. So yeah, it's wide open. I mean, Travis Hunter definitely has a case. I mean, he's excellent, especially at the collegiate level. He's excellent at both ends, so that definitely opens the door for him because that offensive side of things is the more flashy way, and it's the one that really gets you the votes more so than on the defensive side, um, because there's only so many plays you can make on that end. But to add in the offensive numbers, yeah, that definitely helps. So we'll definitely see where it all goes, man. It should be an exciting race, just like it's been an exciting week 6. But with that said, Brooks, let's talk about the top 10. Um, we don't have, we can name all 10 or we can kind of just break it down, but let's definitely start off with the who you think that should be in the top 5. I'm gonna throw Texas name out there. I think they probably should be ranked number 1, and you can help me out with the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's Texas clear number one right now. Um, another thing, going back to the Heisman race, you think about the best
Sure.
team right now, it's probably Texas, and they
Yeah.
got two different. They got two different quarterbacks, so that also helps Travis Hunter. They've had injuries,
Yeah.
so they got two different quarterbacks. So you can't just say the quarterback of Texas is in the Heisman. So that's another thing that helps Hunter out is that the best
Yeah.
team right now has two different quarterbacks playing for him. So
Right.
But yeah, Texas has to clearly be number one. Ewers or Manning, whoever's at the helm with them, they're both really good quarterbacks. So yeah, I think clear number one for sure.
Yeah. All right. Does Georgia move into that top five now with the Bama loss and then the Auburn victory?
I mean, I'm looking at the two teams that are going to play next week, Oregon and Ohio State. They'll probably get the nod.
Okay.
Oregon's at three, or Ohio State's at three, so they'll probably move to two. I see
Hmm.
Oregon probably bumping up um, to three.
Yeah.
Um, that's probably going to make the most sense. I think Georgia does. I think Georgia is the top. You got to put them at the top. Ranked one loss team. I think just
Yeah.
on because again we lost at on the road to Alabama,
Hmm.
driving to score to go ahead touchdown. I mean, come on, erase the 28-point deficit. That's not. I mean, can't really say anything. I mean, you could obviously talk about the fact they got down 28-0, but they did come back. They did take the lead. Had the
Hmm.
lead late, and again, Ryan Williams just made a hell of a play um, to score. So, but I think right now, I mean, we have a loss to Bama. The loss to Vandy, I just don't see how they're the top ranked one loss team right now. That's just a really bad loss. And I think Georgia should be the
Hmm.
should I think Georgia be there, especially you think about the matchup on a neutral field with Bama. That was at their place, so you take that into account. So I put Georgia four. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess thinking about the five team. Penn State's still undefeated. Uh, So maybe they move up. Maybe they might be ahead of Georgia as well. It'd be interesting to see. Um, but I think Georgia should be the top rated one loss team. And there's a lot of Big Ten teams that haven't lost as well. So they may get a bump. So you may see a little bit more Big Ten heavy in the top five uh, when the rankings come out.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, I do think the Bama loss actually helps. Definitely helps Georgia move in the top five for me. Uh, they stay in that top five. Uh, and again, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so Texas, I would say Texas, like you said, Ohio State, they should bump up. Georgia, I would have them at four. Oregon would, to me, would go to three.
Yep.
Penn State, even though they're undefeated, I would keep them at five. I think a one-loss Georgia is better than Penn State. Now, technically, I guess you could move Penn State above, so I wouldn't debate anybody who says that. But I still think logically, Georgia, I would have them over Penn State. And if you said, hey, Georgia and Penn State's playing in round two or round one of the playoff, Georgia should be the favorite there. So I'm gonna go, Georgia right there at four, then Penn at five, Penn State five. Then of course Miami, right? I would go with them at six, Bama seven, and because they did have the victory over Georgia, I don't think they just fall off into the abyss. But I'll kind of put them right there around seven, and then that eight, nine, and 10 range. That's looking more like, ooh, what do you think about LSU? What do you think about LSU and where they may fall? Do you
Oh
think they make
man,
top 10
I
now?
don't know, man. They're another
Yeah.
team that just they're
Yeah.
they're ano- they're another team that just I can't believe how bad their defense is now. As
Yeah.
shocking as Vandy putting up that many points on Bama. You think about LSU's defense has been very suspect. Just two surprising teams to think. They just have that reputation of having strong defenses. I'm not sure.
Right.
I've watched a lot of LSU, and it's been sloppy, missed opportunities. They have pulled out some wins, but yeah, they need to clean it up. To me,
Yeah.
that teams like Ole Miss who had impressive road win at South Carolina.
Yes.
They're
Hmm.
I think they can still move back up. I think so. You can see teams like Ole Miss. I think again Clemson's going to kind of fly up the scoreboard as well, the rankings as well with how they're
Yeah.
beating teams. You know, teams like Michigan, teams like USC are falling back. Um, so interesting to see. Interesting to see what they do with Alabama and Tennessee off their losses. See how they fall in the rankings. Because both were just eye opening losses. You think about how Tennessee just couldn't score late there at Arkansas, and you think about Bama just giving up 40 to Andy. Interesting to see where they
Yeah.
what they're going to do with the rankings with those because they're very surprising losses.
Oh yeah, man. It's been crazy, man. This week, man, the college football, man. I guess every week, man, is going to be some surprises here. Because man, I'll be honest with you, man. I thought this would be kind of like a just a blah type of week. You know what I mean? But it turned out to be a meaningful week, and this will be a week that we'll look back on when we get down into December, and we have to look back at this week 6, man. So this is one of those uh weeks that changed the trajectory of the standings, man, and
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
football, the college football playoff, impact, man.
Yeah.
So, man, what a
And
week, man. I'm
it's gonna
just
start. It's gonna start to sort itself out. So you really haven't had those big matchups in the Big Ten like you have had in the
right,
SEC so far. Oregon and Ohio State going to play. Penn State's going to play some of these teams, and so that'll kind of
correct.
sort. They're going to beat each other up as well. But the top teams in the Big Ten have yet to kind of play each other. So you're going to see the Big Ten teams kind of move up in the rankings. You're going to see Miami probably move up a little bit just because they're undefeated in the ACC team. Uh, but yeah, interesting to see where everybody else kind of falls as far as the one loss teams.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, man. Well, I mean, that man, we tackled everything that we needed to. We'll just get one last final thought here on the. We talked about the rankings there, but just how do you feel now about the college football playoff? Um, like that loss to Alabama. I mean, that loss to Vanderbilt. In other seasons, man, that would have been a huge blow. But with this playoff system, how do you feel about it as far as affecting these regular season upsets? You know what I'm saying? Is it good or bad?
Right. Right. I mean, on one hand, you look at with the 14 playoff, you look at a loss to Vanderbilt. That would be hard to overcome. They basically, I would feel like they would need to win out and win the SEC to get in. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's just a really bad loss. Um, but yeah, with the 12-team playoff, you know, I- Alabama's nowhere out of it by any means. So yeah, I mean, it's good and bad. It's good
yeah,
and bad because like I said, in another playoff scenario, that's really hurting Alabama's playoff chances. Same thing with
right.
Tennessee with a loss to Arkansas. Um, so yeah, it's good and bad. It's good and bad. Um,
Hmm.
so
Absolutely.
But I think it does allow. I will say, I think this new format does allow for a team that maybe can get hot late at the end of the season and make a run. Not have to worry about their one or two losses. I think that allows for a team like that to get in who has some momentum, maybe has some bad losses, but is playing really well at the end of the season. And that's something we haven't had before. You know,
Hmm.
you think about teams that gain momentum near the end of the season and have big wins but can't make the playoffs. I think you're going to have a team like that get in now, and so that'd be interesting to see. A team with the momentum playing really well, maybe have a couple early losses, but gets in the playoffs. I mean that's a scenario we haven't really had in college football. So it allows for teams maybe who gain their stride late to get in and make some noise. So I think that's a positive.
Yeah, yeah. And spinning off of that a little bit, Brooks, it does on one end, this football playoff, it does open up like the season for some teams. Like for example, Minnesota, right? They still have quote unquote something to play for because they can somehow work their way into a 12 seed or something like that. You know what I mean? It kind of keeps some other narratives, storylines alive throughout the season, and also some of the matchups down the stretch of the season will have college football playoff implications, if you will. You know what I mean? Like sort of built in eliminators and things like that. So that's the positive side of it. But for me, you know, it does take away from one thing that college football had over a lot of the major sports, which was the regular season really, really, really came into play. It really meant something, if you will. You know what I mean? Because now, if you're Alabama, hey, you lose to Vanderbilt, but guess what? You still can make the playoff, and then you're still firmly in the playoff, right? At probably number 7 seed right now, and you know you can just win the whole thing that way. So it doesn't really kill you, and so that kind of takes a little bit away from it. But I mean, I guess it's pros and cons to it all. Philly Red Zone, welcome.
Hey, how
And
y'all
we want
doing?
all right, doing good, man. And want to get your thoughts before we get out of here on the college football playoff scenario, and then just any overall thoughts that you had on week 6.
Well, to me, it was a great day for Texas and Ohio State fans. I mean, watching
Yeah,
Alabama, watching Alabama and Tennessee go down. I mean,
yeah,
that was they had it right on when I looked at the poll. You know,
hmm
Alabama won and Texas two, Ohio State three, Tennessee four. But now it's Texas, Ohio State, and figure it out after that. I
yeah,
mean, that was a shocking loss with Alabama versus Vanderbilt. I mean, I watched that game and I'm like, all right, Vandy, y'all got to leave. How y'all gonna choke it? And I mean, that
yeah.
quarterback showed poise, man, the whole game. I mean, it's some NFL coaches could learn from that offensive coordinator at Vanderbilt on how to attack a defense, a pressured defense. You know, overloading one side, misdirection. You know, QB keeps. I mean, shallow crosses. Just basically, they attack Alabama weakness, which was the middle of their defense. They're weak,
hmm
and then their corners aren't that great either. Um, and then they stuck with the run no matter what. They kept on running the ball, man. So I was impressed. And then I didn't see the Arkansas Tennessee game. I was kind of college footballed out, and then you know, but seeing that result later in the evening was shocking as well. But I mean, so far as the playoff go,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Alabama, they're going to take a hit. I mean, so far as who they'll possibly play. And like Brooks was saying, yeah, they're gonna have to probably win their conference in order to get, one of those you know, home games, so to speak, in Tuscaloosa. But it's still, I mean, it's still wide open. You look at Alabama schedule. I mean, they still got maybe a possibility one or two more losses on their schedule. I mean, it don't get easier for them. Um,
Yeah.
they were kind of in the light part of their schedule, and now it's going to get heavier. So I wouldn't be surprised they tack on another you know uh, two maybe three losses, and then it gets really murky with the playoff. And in Georgia, I mean their schedule kind of get light towards the end. So the SEC is basically a toss up now, and I mean, you look at Ohio State, they pretty much got a bunch of layups other than, Penn State, but they beat Penn State every year and they struggle with Michigan, but find ways to beat Michigan. I mean,
hmm
so yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting with the 12 team setup. Um, you know, I'm anxious to see it. I understand what you guys was talking about, the allure of the regular season with college. But it was still asterisk, man. In college, they wanted who they wanted in there. I mean, I remember years where UCF was undefeated and they didn't let them smell, a BCS bowl game. You see teams like that, man, and they send like, "Hey, we undefeated," and the polls, people that do all the polls is like, yeah, but your strength of schedule. They always had an excuse of yeah, but to keep one of the Power Five schools in those major games, because it's all about
hmm
ratings at the end of the day. It's business. you know
Yeah.
Florida State, Alabama, Miami, those schools that people could just rip off and have history with. They sell advertisement and they sell tickets more than Middle Tennessee State, you know,
Yeah.
Wyoming
Hawaii.
and schools, yeah, Hawaii and schools like that. Like nobody want to see them,
Yeah.
you know. So, and then hold up, Miami, did they end up losing last
They
night?
won
Because
by one.
They
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 came.
won
came
by
back to
one.
win.
Yeah,
Get
I
out
was.
of
Yeah.
here!
I said the
Holy
same
Yeah.
thing.
crap,
They.
dude! I went to
Yeah.
sleep. California was they were just.
Same.
I
Yeah.
mean,
39-38.
Yeah, same.
holy. So Ward tapped in and figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Okay. Because I had
Yeah. They
little,
hung on.
that
Yeah,
pick six that he threw was egregious, man. I'm like, dude, what are you
he
looking at?
was he was really bad to start that game, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he
Yep.
was. But
Yeah,
wow,
that 10:30 start, man. That ain't that ain't
ugh.
something I can do.
Yeah, brother.
Can't make it through that, man.
Yeah, nah, that those West Coast games, I never. I mean, I kind of tapped in and then was
Yeah.
sleep, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
Another,
Definitely glad you.
another note on that
Go ahead, Brooks.
Tennessee game, the last drive of Tennessee, the guy rolls out, their quarterback rolls out, it's
Mhm.
the last play of the game, just takes off and runs to the sideline. Like doesn't even make a throw. He doesn't
Oh
even
Yeah.
throw it
man,
in the end zone. Like that was amazing. Like that
yeah.
you can't do that. Like that's just like football 101. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he bet on the
Uh,
game?
man.
What was the point spread?
Oh
What
boy.
was the
Oh, I
point
know.
spread over
Program.
under?
I may have made a live bet on Vandy during halftime.
Yeah,
They were still underdogs. I was like, you know what? I'll take it.
you see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, hey, man, with sports betting, hey, I'm putting that past nobody.
Yeah.
Hey.
Did the same thing
Hey
in the
man.
Arkansas game. I was like, oh, why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think that
Wow.
Arkansas was down like 3, and they were like heavy underdogs on them. I was like, all right,
wow,
well, let's see one
yeah.
touchdown.
There
Yeah.
you
It
go.
doesn't
Might
hurt.
as well take it. That don't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. It don't hurt at all, man.
Yeah,
So, man. So that's all we got, man, for today, gentlemen.
yeah. I'm
Great
sorry
job.
about
We
kept
covered.
catching late, man.
Hey,
Oof, it was
man.
a long night.
In
Okay.
in the words of Drake, what is it? What did he say in one of his lines? Uh, Something about being late, but never being late.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm late, but never being late, but late being better, or something like that. Never,
yeah.
but
It's
whatever.
all
It's one of
good.
those lines he's got. Hey, I can't quote Drake right now. It's Sunday, but hey,
Yeah,
man,
I know, right?
appreciate you being on.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Brooks, man, appreciate your Falcons, man. They, they doing their thing, man. Enjoy your season.
I am I am thoroughly enjoying this season. I was at the
Yeah,
Saints game. It was oh man,
Yeah, I hate to
it
flip the
was great.
script, but yeah, Captain
Oh man,
Kurt doing his September October magic, man. Enjoy while you got it, brother.
I'll enjoy it.
wow,
I don't even care. Win's a
Captain
win,
Kirk.
man. For the
I
Falcons, I
know,
don't.
no,
However you win, I don't care. Like it's the
dude, that
Falcons. I don't
yeah,
care.
dude, that's electric, man. London is actually a player. Y'all got something there with a real quarterback. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm here
Hey,
for it.
man,
Here
that's
for
great.
it.
Okay, and the Eagles
Ah,
are got to figure things out, right?
oh
They got to
man,
figure things
dude.
out here.
Yeah. That coach got one shoestring in, and he lose to the Browns. Coming out of this bye is bye, man. Sirianni is. I'll keep my comments to myself. It's Sunday. I'm gonna stay prayed
Yeah,
up because
there you go.
yeah, that dude he is doing everything he said he wasn't gonna do with the offense. Is metal, and you look at the offense. We're not doing using motion. We're not throwing underneath. It's all everything is basically look like last year. Got to be 50 yards down the field. Hurts look uncomfortable again. It's a mess. But it's still early, man. So I'm
Yeah,
not,
they still got
too excited. Yeah.
yeah, they still got a shot, man. And
Oh yeah,
the playoffs
yeah.
come.
It's something. Now you talk to me in November, then you'll get my real opinion. But I think
Yeah,
he'll be fired by then if they don't get it together.
yeah,
Been a weird little break in that division. All of a sudden, like Washington just rising.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's full. That's
Jay
Foles' goal.
Daniels, man. Oh, I
Yeah,
know. I mean,
that's fool's gold. I mean, although I've had them
Yeah,
number two in the division, though, I can honestly say that
yeah,
it is documented. So
they're gonna have to.
they're helping me in that one, but I just need my Eagles to wake the hell up.
yeah.
I think it's
They
team
got
sport too.
there.
Their defense is. Whew,
Yeah, their defense
they
is
just
Yeah,
been
hard, man.
outscoring people.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And playing the right teams at the right time.
There
So
you go.
we'll
It's
see what
early, man.
happens.
September football is a mirage, man. Dude,
Yeah.
that
So
look last year showed me a lot. Going what 10-1, and then
yeah,
falling off a cliff with no parachute.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
Yeah,
it was,
felt like
it was
Wiley
eagle.
County, didn't
Yeah, man, it was eagle body parts all over the all over the
it?
place.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, man, we'll see how it all shape out for your Eagles, for
Yes,
your
sir.
Falcons, and then my Seahawks they hanging in there early.
Yeah,
But I'm a
man.
hold, but I'm a reserve mine until because see, they played the Giants a couple years ago in Seattle, and the Giants
Yeah,
were in that year they were down too. They were like the Giants were not, you know, it wasn't the Lawrence Taylor Giants at that time,
yeah,
and then we ended up blowing that game at home. So Seattle needs to bounce back from that loss to Detroit and try to move to 4-1, and
yeah,
then
man.
we'll
That was an
see.
epic game, dude. That was an epic
Yeah,
game.
yeah. So we'll see what happens there too with them. But hey, man, great job there. We covered everything we need to cover for today, and we even gave you a little bit of NFL there,
There you
ladies and
go.
gentlemen. All right,
Sorry,
so
man. You
we
know the
appreciate that.
transition is real.
No, but that's good because Jalen Hurts, Alabama, right? Jalen Hurts,
Yeah,
Oklahoma, Alabama. We talked about even Geno Smith, right? West Virginia
oh
quarterback,
yeah,
and look how he's found his way in the league and persevered and and now he's solid, locked in as a starter for at least the next couple seasons of his career. And so that's very good. And then, we talked about the Falcons and their ability to pull out victories,
yeah,
rabbit out of the hat on some of those games. But hey, just like the season before, man, a lot of those were L's. And so some of those L's are W's. So I know Brooks is gleaming about that. So we'll see.
yeah.
oh yeah,
All
certainly.
right. Okay.
All right,
Yes,
gents.
sir. All right. Well, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. We thank everybody
All
for
right, you
tuning
do the
in. Make sure you
same.
hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, share, because sharing is caring. For Philly Red Zone, for Brooks the Showcase, I'm Mr. 411. Ladies and gentlemen, we're exiting stage left. Until next week, take care.